So yesterday we discussed about Wood's reaction on a similar lines where we have to find alkanes, a second reaction which is Corey-Howe synthesis. Keep writing with me. Corey-Howe synthesis. Overall reaction is if you take 2Rx and react with 4Li, first 2 moles will come as LiX and rest of the 2 moles will form 2 moles of RLi. This when you treat with CuX, any cupric halide, any cuprous halide, that would give minus LiX and R2CuLi. Now once you have this R2CuLi, from here if you treat with any 2 moles of Rx dash, this will go through an SN2 mechanism to become 2 moles of R and R dash here. So I'll take this as R dash, 1 minute, R dash X here. So R and R dash plus CuX plus LiX. So this is the overall steps what are happening. Let me elaborate that one by one. See what's happening here. I'll write step by step. First step, what we are doing is we are reacting Rx plus Li. So when you take Rx plus Li, we will get R minus Li plus X minus. So basically lithium is the one which will provide electrons to R. X will come as X minus here and you will get a carbanion formation. And lithium, magnesium, they would have usually strong polarizing power. So there would be slight covalent character between R and Li. So when there is a small covalent character developed between organic compound and metallic compound, these bonds are called organometallic bonds. So there is an organometallic bond developed there. This particular molecule R minus L plus, this is called Gilman's reagent. Gilman's reagent. This when you treat with CuX, that is cuprous halide, any cuprous halide, we will get a complex like lithium and copper with 2 R groups here. This kind of a complex is formed, which we generally write it as R2CuLi. Okay, in short, copper has 2 coordinate bonds with this R minus, and on top of that it would have plus charge, right? Sorry, minus charge, and lithium is closing it as plus charge. So this is the actual structure, how it looks like. Now once you get this complex, we take this complex, that is R2CuLi. The second step is the third step. So R2CuLi, when you treat that with 2 moles of, if you treat that with R dash X, if you treat that with R dash X, then this R2, this R minus, every R minus will attack on R dash and remove this X minus, and both would happen simultaneously. So it is driven by SN2 mechanism, and thereby if I take 2 moles of R dash X, I'll get 2 moles of R and R combined, and Cu will take away Cu plus will take away that X plus to become CuX, and one lithium will also take away X to become LiX. Got it? Since it is an SN2 mechanism, the rate of this reaction depends on whether the alkyl halide which you are taking is 1 degree, 2 degree or 3 degree. So 1 degree will have more reactions for R dash X. So if the R dash X is supposed to be 1 degree, the reaction will happen better. Okay, so in short, suppose if at all I show it as an example, imagine I have CH3 twice, CuLi, and I'm treating that with tertibutyl chloride, 2 moles of this. Now you know that tertibutyl chloride, this cannot have, this cannot undergo SN2 mechanism. So CH2 minus will only act like a base, extract the proton, remove this chlorine, make an E2 mechanism to get the product as this, and 2 moles of CH4 will come out. If it is tertiary, so you can see this is a tertiary alkyl halide, so the reaction will proceed in this manner. But in case if you have the reverse way, like I take tertibutyl CuLi plus 2 moles of CH3Cl, then this reaction is highly favorable by SN2, because for SN2 the least crowding is the one which is most favored. So this will attack on CH3, removing this chlorine. Thereby we would have CH3, a coupled product like this, and we'll get CuX, CuCl and LiCl. So I guess you understood. So Corey-Howe synthesis is more favored when you have SN2 favored cases. Otherwise they will go for E2 mechanism. Now considering Woods and Corey-Howe synthesis, Corey-Howe synthesis is more recent, and more importantly this reaction is better than Woods reaction because it has less number of side products, and more importantly you can get mixture of alkane forms. If you recall, Woods we were not able to find, yesterday we discussed few questions also, that in Woods we were not able to find all the type of products because we are getting too many side products here. And mix, especially the odd number of carbons to get as an alkane is difficult from Woods. So that can be fulfilled by Corey-Howe synthesis. Right, I guess all of you understood that. Okay, next type of reaction where alkanes are prepared is by coal-base electrolysis. Coal-base electrolysis reaction. We write it as KES, coal-base electrolysis reaction. What it is when sodium or potassium salt of carboxylic acid, sodium or potassium salt of carboxylic acid undergoes electrolysis, we get alkanes. Okay, depending upon how the molecule is, we might get alkene also, alkyne also, depending on salt taken. This reaction is happening in aqueous solution. In aqueous solution, any salt, carboxylic salt which you take, like CrCO minus Na plus, if you take it in aqueous solution, they will dissociate 100% RCO minus, and you must have learned that in ionic equilibrium, salts which we consider, organic salts which we consider, they dissociate 100%. Now, because it is undergoing electrolysis, in electrolysis we'll have anode reaction and cathode reaction. Usually at anode always oxidation takes place. And at cathode always reduction takes place. RC double bond O minus, which is present in the solution, will release an electron at anode on electrolysis to give an electron out. So it is an oxidation reaction. Got it? So as soon as the radical is formed, RC double bond O dot, this radical will be unstable form. So it would mostly drive in the forward direction where carbon dioxide is forming here. So you can see we will get this as R dot plus C double bond O and double bond O. Think it this way, like I have R, C double bond O and O dot. So this O dot is coming here, and R and carbon is breaking into homolytic fission. So the dot that comes on carbon here and oxygen makes a double bond. So that's how we will get CO2, and R dot is the radical that is left out. And 2 moles of such radicals, if you take, they will immediately terminate to form R and R. That's how we will get an alkane. This is what is happening at anode. At cathode, reduction will take place. Because it is an aqueous solution, we expect water to get reduced. So water will take electrons and it would give H2 gas forming 2 OH minus. Okay. So now in the solution, whatever carbon dioxide which has formed can immediately react with the base, because you can see that there is an OH minus which is forming. I'll just write it as OH minus here. So 2 moles of OH minus, and that would form H 2 moles of NaOH to form CO3 2 minus, CO3 2 minus and H2O. So if it is a sodium salt which is present in the solution, it will become Na2CO3. Everybody understood this point? So one very important note in the solution in here is that solution becomes alkaline. Solution becomes alkaline, or I can say pH of the solution increases. Why? Due to formation of OH minus. So this is a coal-based electrolysis process. So where there is a radicals forming at anode which will terminate to give a coupled alkanes. Now we have learned yesterday how to terminate the radicals. So sometimes radicals might form internally. 2 radicals are formed internally. Then also we will get to know, then also it will terminate there and gives alkenes, alkynes and so. Okay. So let me take few examples here. Suppose if we have simple ECOOK, that is CH3 CH2 COO minus K plus, and that using coal-based electrolysis we will get ET and ET plus Na2 Na2CO3, 2 moles of this. Okay, and I'm doing coal-based electrolysis. See, this side carbon dioxide, after it releases, radical will form here, radical will form here. So 2 radicals would come here, one on this side, one on this side, plus this carbon dioxide will become 2 moles of Na2CO3. Got it? And these radicals will terminate to become alkene. So we will get this as an alkene. In case if there is already an alkene present this way, like malic acid, okay, and these are the salts which I'm taking, COOK here, on coal-based electrolysis, it will give a triple bond, 2 moles of Na2CO3. In case if there is any ring closure that it can bring, COOK and KES. Yesterday I'm pretty sure all of you must have practiced that, how to terminate the radicals. So you can, when there are radicals coming this way, when you terminate, what is the product you will get? Cyclopropane. Radicals are highly unstable, beta. Any intermediate is unstable. Its lifetime is not more than 10 raised to power of -8 seconds. Okay. Any radical, you take carbocation, carb anion radical. Okay. So if you compare a strained cyclohexane, which is a stable molecule, you can isolate. Radicals, carbocations, they cannot be isolated. That beta. So they will always be an unstable. Also known as Oakwood process. Oakwood process of making alkanes. So the overall reaction here is, if you take R, CO minus Na plus, we will get in the presence of NaOH and CaO. NaOH and CO must be taken in the ratio of 3:1 and heat it. On heating, we will get this as RH, which is an alkane, and we will get it as Na2CO3. So this is the overall reaction. Let's see how the mechanism is driven. If I take RC double bond O, O minus, this is a salt. Salt on heating, correct? So in case if there is any RCOOH also in the presence of NaOH, first it will become a salt, and salt on heating will make it as carb anion and release carbon dioxide. So carb anion which is forming will absorb water to get RH, because you are taking an aqueous NaOH, it would have some water content in it, so we will get RH. And NaOH which is present in the solution will absorb carbon dioxide, will get treated with carbon dioxide to form Na2CO3. Correct? And Na2CO3 is a soluble solution. Correct? Na2CO3 is a soluble solution in water. And because we have calcium oxide here, calcium oxide will react even strongly with carbonate to form a precipitate. So this is the overall reaction that you will see happening. Why we have to take more amount of NaOH? To make sure whatever the acid which is present, everything gets converted in the form of carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide will be converted into Na2CO3. Why we have to take CaO? CaO is a dehydrating agent, so which means it will, at this heat, no matter how much heat you make, there would be some amount of water left in the solution, and that is sufficient amount of water to make this R minus to get RH. Is this clear, guys? And at the same time, whatever the carbon CaCO3 is forming, it will convert into this precipitate. Got it? Now, out of all this, the slowest step is this one, slow step. So which means the entire rate of the reaction depends upon this first step only, which is the stability of carbanion. So rate of reaction is directly proportional to the stability of carb and ion. So this is the type of question that would be asked in JEE, like which of the following will show faster reaction towards decarboxylation. Okay, and the term used will be soda lime decarboxylation. So see the question how it is asked. Okay, arrange in the rate of. So the minute you think about soda lime, you have to understand that it is a carb anion formation. Suppose I'll take an example, CH3 CH2 COOH. Okay, I'll take this as 1. Comparing that with CH2 double bond CH COOH 2 and HC triple bond C COOH, just 3. Out of these 3, think which one will have more rate beta? Third one, correct. You just, right. So you just have to do the carb anion formation here. So CH2 double bond CH minus HC triple bond C minus. Carbon with sp3 or carbon with triple bond will hold the carb anion better. So this will be the stability. So more is the stability, more is the rate of decarboxylation. So this is how the decarboxylation step would be. Okay, students, keep writing. See one more question. I have benzene with COOH and I have benzylic acid here, and then we have COOH. So 1, 2 and 3. Correct? So which one will have more stability here? See, second one will have more beta. Here it is a carb anion which can resonance stabilize. Got it? First one is just a phenylic carb anion. This is the carb anion which is forming. Second one is a minus charge forming on this, so which can undergo resonance stabilization. Third one is forming carb anion on a sp3 hybridized carbon. So which one is more stable here? Second one is more stable compared to first one compared to third one. So how does the rate here will be? Second greater than 1 greater than 3. So these are the type of questions you must be able to do that. Now complete the reaction here. Suppose if we have PHCOOH reacting with NaOH and CaO and heat. So instantly you must understand this is a decarboxylation. Remove that CO2, put this hydrogen with benzene, I mean phenyl group. So we will get this as benzene. Similar lines, if we have CH3, CH2, SO3H, and I treat that with soda lime, SL, DC, decarboxylation, then you'll get this as, see, different books use different terminology. That's why I'm making you aware of these terms. CH3, CH3. Got it? Here it is the carbon dioxide. Here it is the sulfur dioxide which will come out. Okay. Next, if you have, imagine CH2, CH, CH2, which is a carbon 14 isotope, and that is being done by SLDC. Okay. SLDC and heat. So here what we are doing, CH2 double bond CH, correct? There is a carb anion which is formed here, and carbon anion can undergo resonance stabilization also. So which means I'll get both the products, CH3 with this being carbon 14, plus I'll get CH3, CH double bond CH2 with this being carbon 14. So both products will be evident. First of all, NaOH will convert the entire acid part into salt. Okay. And once the salt is been heated, it will release carbon dioxide. Got it? So to make sure that carbon dioxide release goes only in the forward direction, like here. So this carbon dioxide is completely absorbed by NaOH. So that's why we require extra amount of NaOH just to make sure the reaction always drives in the forward direction. You can see this is an equilibrium reaction, na beta. If you remove product, what would happen? Reaction will go more in the forward direction. Got it? Now once you get that in the forward direction and form Na2CO3, correct? One part is R minus also requires some amount of moisture. And if you recall, calcium oxide is a strong dehydrating agent. It will hold water. So since it is holding water, there would be some water available for R minus to take H plus from water and becomes RH. Got it? And whatever the Na2CO3 which is forming will further react with calcium oxide to form calcium carbonate precipitate. Let's write the next reaction. This is reduction reaction by red phosphorus and HI. Very famous reagent. This is such kind of a reagent which can convert any particular functional group into alkanes. Okay. Which means what is happening when you take red phosphorus and HI? Let us see the mechanism. Basically, 2 moles of HI will always be in proportion with I2 and H2. Now imagine this H2 is in the solution. If it is in the solution, it will be more like radicals. Alright, so I'm just representing that in a radical form, or else it will come out as H2 gas, right? So I'm saying when you take red phosphorus and add it to this, instead of coming out as H2 gas, it might exist as a radical, I mean nascent hydrogens. Now this H2I2 which has formed will react with red phosphorus. So once it forms PI3, PI3 reacts with water because what we are taking is an aqueous solution. So PI3 reacts with water to form H3PO3 and again regenerates HI. So which means the minute it regenerates HI, again it keeps forming more amount of nascent hydrogen. So can I say this solution will become rich amount of nascent hydrogens. That is the one thing you must understand when you are using red phosphorus and HI. So it is a rich nascent hydrogen solution. So what it can do for all functional groups, see, if you treat that with alcohols, in case if you treat with alcohols, we have ROH reacting with red phosphorus and HI. And for red phosphorus and HI, if I give two nascent hydrogens, that will convert this part into RH and H2O. Correct? So for alcohol, how many moles of HI are required? I require 2 moles of HI, because 2 moles of HI will give you 2 nascent hydrogens. These kind of questions will be asked. Similarly, if you take an aldehyde, RC double bond OH, right? This is aldehyde with aldehyde. It's coming. With aldehyde, if you take RCHO, correct? HI plus red phosphorus, it will give 2 nascent hydrogens to give RCH, H and OH first, alcohol. Coming can. We have reaction with red phosphorus plus HI and 2 nascent hydrogens to give RCH3. So basically how many moles for aldehyde beta? 2 moles of H-ti, 2 moles of HI here, total 4 moles. If at all I take it for cyanides, with cyanides or nitriles, with nitriles, that is R, C, triple bond N. So on treating with HI, red phosphorus, 2 nascent hydrogens are required to make it RCH, NH. So first we will get imines. After imine formation, again when we treat with red phosphorus and HI, this time we'll get RCH2, NH2. So cyanides will convert into amines, primary amines. Isocyanates will convert into secondary amines. Most important reaction is acids, how the acids will turn out to be. Correct? See with acids. So with acids RCOOH. First, when we react that with red phosphorus and HI, 2 nascent hydrogens are required to first convert that into an aldehyde. Got it? You remember the same way, like you remove OH from here, you require 2 nascent hydrogens. Same way, remove OH from here, you require 2 nascent hydrogens. Once you get that, again you react with red phosphorus HI. So I would require, I'll convert this into alcohol. From alcohol, I required again red phosphorus HI. Finally, it will convert into alkane. So here I require another 2 nascent hydrogens. Here also 2 nascent hydrogens. So total 6 moles of HI are required. This is a very fast reactions. Got it? The exact mechanism is not observed, but you just need to know what are the number of moles of HI that are used. Okay. OH, OH. This is the structure of glucose. We have come across this before also. So when glucose has been treated with red phosphorus and HI in excess, which means I take sufficient amount. So all these carbons containing OH and double bond O, everything will convert into N-hexane. So it will convert into N-hexane. So I guess you understood the advantage. So any functional group can be converted into alkanes using red phosphorus and HI. So see, the next reduction reaction by which we can prepare alkanes is Clemenson's reduction. Clemenson's reduction. R1C double bond O R2, any ketone or aldehyde, if you treat that in the presence of zinc mercury amalgam and concentrated HCl, it will convert this into an alkane form, which is R1CH2R2. See, first of all, amalgamated zinc, okay, is taken to reduce its reactivity towards acid. Because if mercury is not taken, zinc will vigorously react with concentrated HCl and becomes ZnCl2 and instantly gives H2 gas. And this is a rigorous reaction. Imagine we want to avoid this. Then it is better to take in an amalgamated form. So the reactivity of zinc is less. So that is the reason why we take amalgamated zinc. Now let us understand the mechanism. Now zinc in the solution, concentrated HCl, now slowly it will start releasing electrons. Now as the electrons will start releasing, second we will have this keto form which is present, which has lone pair present on oxygen, will extract proton by an acid base reaction. Oxygen has lone pair, solution has H plus, so acid base reaction will take place. So it would get R1 C double bond OH plus R dash. Okay, and once you have this form here, the electrons which are released in the solution will attack on carbon. Reason being, oxygen is getting plus charge, so don't you think it will strongly pull electrons towards itself from carbon? So as it pulls electrons, carbon will get delta positive charge. So as it gets delta positive charge, electrons will get attracted towards carbon. So as it gets attracted, this bond will move on to oxygen and it will get R1. Okay, R1, this is R2, right? Yeah, R2 I have taken. R1, R2 here. So R1 COH with carb anion is formed here. So very important that carb anion intermediate is formed in this. Clear everyone? So once you get the carb anion intermediate here, ROH, C minus and R2. In solution we have HCl. So again acid base reaction will take place. Carb anion will take H plus from the solution. So you'll get R, OH, R2 and H. See, oxygen still has a lone pair, so it can again act like an acid base reaction, extract proton from solution, acidic solution, and it makes it OH2 plus. OH2 plus here. Again, OH2 plus is a strong withdrawing group there because of this charge. So in the solution, whatever the extra electrons that are released, they will again attack on carbon to relieve that water molecule out. So H2 will come out and we'll get R1 C minus H and R2. So you can see carb anion is only forming both the times here. So again on reaction with HCl, it will accept H plus to form R1 CH2 and R2. So that's how it will form an alkane. Everybody understood that? Okay. So only thing you need to see, mechanism is not something that will be asked to you directly, but there would be asked like, is there any carb anion formation? The answer is yes. So as an intermediate, there is a carb anion formation in the mechanism. Everybody has written that. If at all I have CHO and I treat that with zinc mercury amalgam and DCl, instead of HCl I'm using DCl. So the hydrogens that will come here will be CHD2 because both the hydrogens are coming from the solution, and here it is a deuterium which is present, so both of them will be replaced as deuteriums. Same way, if at all I take keto form and I treat that with zinc mercury amalgam in the presence of DCl, I will get both the deuteriums getting connected here. No, beta, it has to be dissolved nascent hydrogens. Correct? But since this is an exothermic reaction, that won't stay in the solution. Got it? It's a rigorous reaction with concentrated HCl. So it won't stay in the solution, it will fizz out as H2 gas. So to make its reactivity less, what beta? No. If in the solution it is not there, then it won't be available for ketone. The next reaction is Wolff-Kishner reduction or Wolff-Kishner reduction. So now earlier one was an acidic medium reaction. This is an alkaline medium reaction. Alkaline medium reaction. See what is happening. R1C double bond O R2. Okay, it could be aldehyde also. In the presence of N2H4, which is hydrazine, and basic medium RO minus, or you can take RO minus or OH minus, anything. Usually what we take, usually for betterment of the reaction, it is taken as KOH in glycol. Glycol is a basic solution. On doing that, we'll get R1, CH2 and R2. So this is the alkane that is formed. See the mechanism here. So R1, C double bond O, R2. When you have NH2, NH2, which is hydrazine, hydrazine has available lone pair. Lone pair will directly react with delta positive of carbon, because you can see there is a electronegativity difference between C double bond O. So carbon has sufficiently positive charge, because of which lone pair from nitrogen will attack on carbon. As it attacks as a nucleophile, this pi bond will shift onto oxygen. So we will get this as R1CO minus R2 with NH2 plus and NH2, right? So whatever the plus that has formed, this oxygen will take away electrons from this proton, electrons from this nitrogen. So because internally it is available, the shift is faster. Internally, if there is any proton available, internal acid base reactions will happen much faster rate. So O minus is here, which is basic part. H plus is here, which is acidic part. Immediately it will accept that, and you'll get R1COH. And I'll write this as R2 on this side, and NH and NH2. This is what you will get. Got it? So this is an alkyl hydrazine with an hydroxy group present on it. Once you get this, from here again reaction with OH minus, because we have sufficient amount of OH minus in the solution. Okay, so this OH minus will extract H plus from here. So we will get this as OH R2 N minus here with NH2. And as soon as it forms minus, this will try to close it as a double bond, remove OH minus. Because solution will have OH minus can be relieved. Got it? And it comes with the fact that C double bond N will start becoming stronger. So to make that stronger double bond, this reaction is favored in the forward direction. So we will have this as R1 C R2 with double bond N and NH2. OH minus has left the solution here. Got it? Now from here, if you observe, this can undergo tautomerism. Once it comes here, it will undergo tautomerism. How? This H, this is an imine, and this is an N double bond N, which you can get, which is azo group. So imine azo kind of a tautomerism will take place to get R1CH R2 with N double bond NH. So this kind of a product is formed. Now once you get this tautomerized product, OH minus in the solution will again extract the proton from here to generate R1 CH R2 N double bond N minus. So once you get this minus, this will try to close it as N2, because N2 is a very stable bond and carbon will break the bond to become carb anion. R1 CH R2 carb anion is formed. So carb anion will extract proton from water. It is an aqueous solution, so it will extract the proton from water to get R, CH2 and R2. And N2 gas has left. This is the overall mechanism by which you can see alkane is forming. Again, out of all the mechanism, it's not that you have to mug up or anything. One thing you got to remember is that there is an N2 gas releasing and a carb anion forming. These two are the important points you must note. There is a carb anion forming and N2 gas will release out of it. In the aqueous, listen, understood. In a polar solution, polar bonds are the more easily broken. Understood? Non-polar bonds can't be broken. Second way of looking at it is the pK value. If you check out, it is coming as OH minus and CH3 minus. Which one will have more pK value? I mean, it's check out its respective conjugate acids. This is coming from H2O. This is coming from CH4. Which is a stronger base, beta? CH3 minus is a stronger base. Do you think it will come out? Suppose if we have CHO double bond this way, and I gave you reaction like N2H4, KOH and glycol. This is the reaction happening. First, like I said, out of this, there is a carb anion definitely forming on it. So we can see this carb anion is forming as an intermediate. From there, the reaction will take place. But when you have a double bond just adjacent to carb anion, it can undergo resonance stabilization also. So basically, this carb anion will have two forms of it. One is double bond here with carb anion here, and this one. So from here, after hydrolysis, what is the product we will get? CH3. This is the product we will get. And from here, after hydrolysis, what is the product we will get? We will get double bond and hydrogen here. So both these products will be present. Got it? So in multiple correct questions, don't think only one is the answer. This one is also the correct answer. Right. The objective is not about getting complete alkane. It is about whatever C double bond O group is, that is going to convert into an saturated carbon. So I already kept few questions on the assignment. You can do that. Any doubt with this Wolff-Kishner mechanism? So Mozingo reaction is R1C double bond O, R2, and aldehyde are a ketone. If we treat that with thiol, got it? CH2, SH. Okay, thioglycol. So if you have OH, this is glycol. If you have SH, it is thioglycol. So we take thioglycol in acidic medium, H3O plus. After that reaction, we will do reaction with Raney nickel. I told you what is Raney nickel. Okay, so Raney nickel and H2, when the reaction is been done, you will get this as R1, CH2 and R2. As of now, mechanism is not important. By the way, all these three mechanisms again you will get in aldehydes and ketones. So for this, you just need to know how the reaction is. C double bond O, in the presence of thiols and Raney nickel, it will convert into an alkane form. Got it? Everybody understood that point? Okay. Now, only thing you need to know is that this goes through an intermediate. And what is that intermediate? That intermediate would look like this. R1, C, R2. We have S, S and this bond forming. So this oxygen is left and this S and S is making a bond here. This is the cyclic thioacetal. Okay, acetal are also known as ketal. This is how much you need to know, that from this reagent, from this reactant, you're converting into an intermediate. From that intermediate, it will convert into an alkane. CH3, C double bond O, C2H5 is treated with what, beta? Oxygen left as H2O in the solution. Okay, because it is an aqueous solution only, acidic aqueous solution. This O got dissolved with that. So we'll have this reaction with H3O plus. So we will get this as CH3 C2H5 connected with this carbon, which is connected with sulfur, and this is cyclic thioketone, which on reaction with H2 and rann nickel, it will form 2 moles of NiS. NiS becomes precipitate. Nickel sulfide will become precipitate, and you will get this as CH3, CH2, and C2H5. So butane. Reduction by lithium aluminum hydride and sodium boron hydride. NaBH4 and LiAlH4. I'll just showcase the reactivity. Suppose if you have RCl and reacting that with lithium aluminum hydride. Being a powerful reducing agent, it will expect to make SN2 mechanism to make an alkene formation. So here if you check out the reactivity vary as methyl 1 degree, 2 degree and 3 degree. While in case if you check out RCl in the presence of SBH, it would either go by SN1 reaction or radical mechanism and gives alkane. So reactivity, if you check out the reactivity in this case, it would be 3 degree, greater than 2 degree, greater than 1 degree, greater than methyl halide. Okay. In short, let me show you with an example. If we have a primary alkyl halide and I'm treating that primary alkyl halide with lithium aluminum hydride, we will definitely get an alkane here. This is the alkane we will get. But if you do the same reaction with SBH, no reaction will take place. But if you check out in if it is a secondary alkyl halide and you treat that with lithium aluminum hydride, still you will get an alkane here. Got it? And little less of an alkene. So this will be major and this will be minor. Got it? While when you treat that with SBH, you'll get only major product as this. So secondary alkyl halide will have a reaction with SBH. If you take tertiary alkyl halide, lithium aluminum hydride does not give this product. This is minor. Substitution product is minor, or it's in a very, very less quantity, but the major product will be an alkene. This is major. But when you treat that with sodium boron hydride, the major product would be only 3 degree alkyl halide and the reaction happens better. Another best reducing agent, if you check out, it would be this one, PH thrice SNH. Okay, so triphenyl tin hydride. So when you take triphenyl tin hydride, industrial it is known as TPH. Okay, triphenyl hydride. So triphenyl tin hydride here will convert this into alkane. So even if you take secondary also, it will convert into alkane here. Even if you take primary also, it will convert into an alkane. Okay, so which means it will not have any elimination product, and it is overcoming the limitations of lithium aluminum hydride and SBH. So that's why it is used as best reducing agent to convert alkyl halides to alkanes. First, carbon plus H2, if you check out, it will give electrical arc. Through electrical arc, we can make it to formation of C2H2, C2H2, C4CH4, and C2H6. Okay, got it. This would be traces. This will be major product. This will be minor product. This is what you're expected. Next, calcium carbide. Calcium carbide on hydrolysis. This will form calcium hydroxide and gets RC triple bond CH. So alkyne formation. If you check out Al4C3, Al4C3 is a methanide. These are called methanide. Methanide means this carbons will give methane gas. So on hydrolysis, it will give AlOH thrice and CH4. If you take Mg2C3, that on hydrolysis will get MgOH twice, and this is a propanide, that is CH3C triple bond CH is formed. Industrially, methane is prepared this way: CO plus 3 moles of CH2. Got it? When you have 1:3 ratio, we call it as syngas. So through syngas, in the presence of nickel and around 300 degrees centigrade, we will get methane and H2O. Industrially, methane is prepared this way using syngas. So these are all the preparation reactions. All these 10 reactions, whatever we have studied, these are all the preparation reactions of alkanes. Now let us see the chemical reactions. First, we'll do all the simple ones which does not require any mechanism. These are just the way they are given. There is no mechanisms given for that. So you just need to know the type of reactions. That's all. Okay. So starting with first reaction, aromatization. Aromatization. So basically, if you take any N-hexane, and treat that in the presence of mixture of oxides, Cr2O3, Al2O3 mixture, or I can simply take V2O5 or molybdenum, MO2O3, molybdenum trioxide. In all of these cases, N-hexane will convert into benzene and rest will be H2 gas released. Got it? Similar lines, if I take N-heptane, same reagents, most specifically used is Cr2O3 and Al2O3 with heat. When we do that, we will get this as toluene. And in case if you take N-octane with Cr2O3, Al2O3, we will get mixture of ethyl benzene and xylenes. Remember xylenes? If we have this way, with any methyl connected at ortho, meta and para, these are called xylenes. So we can get mixture of xylenes and ethyl benzene. So I hope the reaction is clear. N-hexane, N-heptane and N-octane. They will always give the benzene forms. That's why it is called as aromatization reaction. No, These are pyro reactions, which means they are influenced at a very high temperature. Only if we know their thermal stability, we can comment on their majority. Okay. See, reaction with steam. CH4 methane, when you treat that with H2O, it would produce CO plus H2. If it is almost 1:1 ratio, we call it as water gas. These are all industrially used. Only if you ask me, this one is given in NCERT, this one is given in NCERT. So whatever that is given in NCERT, make sure you are aware of that for JEE mains. Okay. So yeah, CH4 plus O2 with copper around 523 kelvins and 100 atm, CH3OH. This is methanol forming. This is also given. CH4 plus O2 in the presence of molybdenum oxide, we will get formaldehyde. Or CH3 plus O2 in the presence of manganese acetate, will get acids, RCOH. If you have tertiary alkane, okay, this is tertiary butane with KMNO4 and heat. So if you take KMNO4 solution and heat, it will convert into alcohol. So this will become tert butyl alcohol. So all of these reactions are given in various chapters in NCERT. So you got to remember, like, this is given in alcohol chapter, aldehydes, acids, alcohol. Okay. But since all of these are the reactions of alkanes, we are writing it as alkane reactions here. See, nitration, sulfonation. This will keep coming in every chapter for every different functional group. What happens if we do nitration? What happens if we do sulfonation? That is, when we add SO3H or NO2, what are the type of reactions? Let's see that. Nitration. If we take CH3 and treat that with HNO3, concentrated HNO3 and heat, so we will get CH3 CH2 NO2 plus CH3 NO2. So basically carbon-carbon bond will also break and makes different forms of NO2s. Another type of reaction, suppose if you have propane, treat that with HNO3 and heat, we will get NO2 here, we will get branched NO2 also, we will get 2 carbon NO2, we will get methyl NO2 also. All the forms of nitro groups can come. The mechanism that has been observed is free radical. No beta, wherever it is needed, now we'll discuss there, don't worry. For nitration, no mechanism is needed. Right, next, sulfonation. See, sulfonation majorly occurs in alkanes, in alkane with 6 or more than 6 carbon atoms. 6 or more than 6 carbon atoms. So imagine this R has at least 6 or more than 6 carbon atoms. React that with concentrated H2SO4 and heat. So we'll get this as RSO3H. Got it? Here also reactivity would be more if you have tertiary, secondary, primary, followed by radical mechanism. Suppose when it comes to cyclopropane on reaction with H2 and nickel, okay. So H2 by nickel, we will get this as propane. Same way, if we treat that with Br2 with light using free radical mechanism, both sides bromine will come. Okay. On a similar lines, if we take cyclopropane on reaction with HCl, H and Cl gets added, one side H will get added, Cl will get added here. And simply if we take cyclopropane and expose it to sunlight, being at a very strained ring, this ring will break to form alkene. These are the reactions of cyclopropane. At rigorous condition, you can break carbon-carbon bond even with ethane. So we have evidence of, nitromethane. See, HNO3 itself is fuming beta. If you heat it further, correct? So this will be a very fuming solution which will give all of this type of nitro groups. Done, everyone? Right. So next, seventh one is thermal cracking. This is an industrial reaction. Well, the crude oil is also being done by thermal cracking. So suppose if you have any hydrocarbon, right? So we will do thermal cracking using zinc oxide, Cr2O3 and Al2O3. So when you take this, all the carbons will break. We'll get different forms here. We can get CH3, alkane. We can get CH4. We can get CH2, double bond CH2. We can get propene also. So that is what is called as thermal cracking. So you heat such a way, all the types of gases are coming out of it. And through using long vertical columns, correct, distillation columns, we will start condensing different gases at different temperatures. That's how we will separate out ethane, methane, ethene, right, propane, butane. All these gases are separated. That is exactly how the crude oil is converted into diesel, petrol, or all other forms. So Cr2O3 plus Al2O3, instead of taking ZNO, I can take molybdenum trioxide also. When you take molybdenum trioxide, carbon-carbon breaking is stopped. So instead of breaking carbon-carbon, it is only, alkene and hydrogen that you will get. Got it? Same way, in case if we do that thermal cracking with ZNO and SiO2, instead of Cr2O3, here I am taking SiO2 and Al2O3 and heat. So basically I'm adding some sand, some silica and heating it. Then we will get this as CH3, CH3 plus CH4. So basically alkene parts are avoided. Okay, again this is just only thermal cracking. The first reaction is there in NCRT as per syllabus. These two are extra reactions in case if it is been asked anywhere. Got it? So remember, thermal cracking generally is done to give all forms of alkanes and alkanes. In case there is any change in the reagent, we might get different products. Suppose in case if I take butane and treat that with AlCl3 and heat, nothing else. I took AlCl3 salt, added to butane and heated. Got it? So this will convert into an isomeric form. So when you want to convert into more branched isomer, AlCl3 is useful. So in case if we have this isopentane and I heat it, so it will convert into neopentane, and it can have other forms also. Got it? So if you see here, well, in this case it is already in this particular form. Suppose if at all I take N-pentane and I heat it in the presence of AlCl3, so we may get isopentane also, we may get neopentane also, like this. Clear? So when you want a branched form from a straight chain, AlCl3 is more useful. In fact, if you see the petrol is a combination of, isooctane, combination of what do you say, hexane, right? Isohexane, isobutane, and isopentane. So all of these combinations are being used. So when you want to convert the higher alkane to that of a branched alkane, then AlCl3 is more useful.